Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's press conference here at the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. I'm Anthony Rowley, a former president, and it's my great honor today to act as moderator and to welcome our guest speaker on my right, of course, who is Mr. Margus Tsahkna. I hope my pronunciation passes, who's Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Estonia. And he's entitled his address today, "Making the World Fit for Freedom." These words are taken from a statement issued earlier this year in which the minister set out his thoughts on the challenges facing the West at a time of conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which some people fear could spread more widely into Europe and beyond. Estonia, of course, is part of the former Soviet Union, along with other Baltic states. It's positioned next to Russia. As such, the country has a strong interest, obviously, in seeing stability and security restored to the region, and Minister Tsahkna will be outlining his proposals to achieve this end. So I won't say any more at this stage. I'll make way for the minister to give his expert views. Please join me in welcoming him to the club, and as a matter of housekeeping, if you have mobile phones, please switch them off or put them onto manner mode. So please join me in welcoming Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and it is really a great honor to be here in the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. If you go out and you see the pictures on the wall, so this is a really great honor to be here. And then thank you for this opportunity to have the press conference to explain as well why I'm here and what we are doing here. And also I'm ready to answer all the questions you have. First of all, I'm really glad to be here in a beautiful, closer, okay, in a beautiful Tokyo. Last time then Estonian foreign minister had an official visit to Japan was more than 10 years ago. So we are taking the relations with Japan very seriously, and there are many different aspects. I will explain you later as well. But secondly, I would like to express my deepest condolences to the families of victims of the earthquake that struck Noto Peninsula at the beginning of this year. And also yesterday passed 13 years of the massive Tohoku earthquake. And this is something we really deeply understand in Estonia. Our situation is different, but the Japan nation is strong. And these situations are not easy. These catastrophes are uniting people, and we are with you, I would like to say, in the name of Estonian people. But of course, Japan is a like-minded country to Estonia. And thank you for introducing as well. Estonian Foreign Ministry has put together the narrative or the agenda. We call it Fit for Freedom. First reactions are normally that, okay, fit for freedom, it's like the normal thing. But be honest, it is not granted. The freedom is not granted. Democracy is not granted today's world. And we have to ask the question whether we are fitting for freedom or not. That's the question. We see very closely, of course, the Russian aggression against Ukraine, because it is very close geographically, but it is very close to our history and to our hearts. Because Estonia was 50 years occupied by Soviet Union, and we lost 1/5 of our population during this occupation by killings, shootings, deportations, and pushing people out from country. So we know exactly what is going on, and we believe that it cannot happen again in the 21st century, but unfortunately it is there. At the moment when we hold this press conference, the children are deported. Just some figures. I'm not talking about how many men and women have been killed during the war only, but we know by name 20,000 kids, children deported. Ukrainians saying that these figures are 200,000, and Russians saying that it is 700,000. Can you imagine? It is happening today in the 21st century in Europe. So this is something we are talking loudly everywhere, because we have mothers and fathers globally in global south, this region here, everywhere. And this is something that people understand. Sometimes people are getting tired of some kind of military conflict somewhere in Europe. But actually, this is something that universally people understand, and it is ongoingly there, and it is one of priority for Estonia. But I think, and I'm sure, and during my meetings with Foreign Minister and Minister of IT and Digital Development and many other meetings I've had in the short visit to Japan, and also with Japan people, this is something we share together, the understanding of democracy, about freedom, and about the international rule of law. Russia is breaking everything, every law, in every agreement what we have made, and the United Nations Charter. And this is not an easy task. So Fit for Freedom means that there is no right for nobody or anybody to break the rules. There must be a right for freedom, for the personal freedoms as well for the nations, as governments, to make the choice. This is very important. And the agenda of Fit for Freedom is full with different actions Estonia is leading or committing on international level. And this is something we share with Japan as well. Of course, we understand and we are very grateful for Japan's support to Ukraine by humanitarian and financial ways. Estonia has given 1.4% of GDP support military ways, and GDP is an honest number. We have put lots of in, and we are giving more. We are going to sign an agreement, a bilateral agreement soon, and we have proposed as well that every ally who is supporting Ukraine must fix the long-term commitment, 0.25% of GDP military support to Ukraine. Altogether, it means 120 billion per year, and it will be enough for Ukraine to push aggressor back to Russia. Let's see. I hope that it is a guideline for everybody. But also, if there is a decision not to support by military ways, it is important to support Ukraine reconstruction processes, and also economically, and Japan is doing here a great job. We discussed as well the cooperation about Ukraine recovery, because Estonia has led here as well many projects already during the war. These are under the foreign ministry, so we are working together with the private sector, with the big donors, with the G7, as Japan as well, a member of G7, and also European Commission. So I see here as well the cooperation opportunities, and we discussed on a high level these topics as well. Of course, Estonia is one of the leading countries in the world about digitalization and IT and cyber security. And cyber security and IT cooperation was as well one of the topics of all our meetings during my visit here. And I have a good news as well, that Estonia will host the Japan Digital Agency official as an expert this year to Estonia. So this person can witness very closely how we are making the wonders of the digital security, or the sausages, however anybody would like to call them. But as an example, what kind of world we are living in Estonia. Just a couple of days ago, Estonia was under the heavy attack organized by Russian about the cyber attack. It was an attack against our governmental domain where most of our e-services are located. This is eesti.ee, estonia.ee. Can you imagine 3 billion, not million, but 3 billion requests within 4 hours? And we managed it easily. So this is the level of cyber defense and security, what we can do on the governmental level. And this is an expertise that we are ready to share with our allies and with Japan as well. Good thing is that we have developed all these capabilities with the private sector companies, and with me here in Japan, we have as well the business delegation. So our bilateral relations are related on as well the business cooperations. So, and we have pretty many investments already from Japan funds to Estonia. Estonia is a brilliant place for making business and for startups, and we have altogether like 11 unicorns. It makes us per capita the most unicorned country in the world. Why I'm saying that it's of course I'm proud, but I'm saying that to invest to Estonian startups, it's profitable as well. You can change the world. So please invest to Estonia and Estonian companies. And this is one topic we discussed actively as well on all different levels meetings what I had here. As well, defense industry. Estonian companies are not big, but they are very innovative. And of course we can find, and we have found already, the cooperation points and projects with Japan and Japan companies. Field hospitals, unmanned vehicles, as well as cyber defense and IT companies. These are the topics we are talking about, but as well food. So we have very healthy food in Estonia, and some companies are importing potato chips to Japan and many other things. So Estonia is small, but a country full of wonders. So welcome to Estonia as well. And coming back to Ukraine, and the geopolitical situation, I introduced you well, and you know that. But this is something we share, that it is very important that Putin will not win the war. We don't know finally what the winning or the victory is, but any kind of deal without Ukrainians, just to find a peace without a justful solution, is that Putin will win the war. And many other countries which are not democracies, they are watching carefully what is the result of this conflict, what is the result of this aggression, what is the result, because then the new rule will be established, that you can actually change the borders using force. And this is something that Japanese people understand very well, and Estonian people and people in democracies, that it is not, we cannot allow it to happen. One topic I introduced as well, but it is not so active in Japan, but this is very important. Estonia is leading the initiative about how can we use the frozen assets of Russia. In Europe, we have billions of euros worth frozen assets, public and private. The good decision has been made on political level in the European Union that the profits of the frozen assets will be used, and we can use it as well to support Ukraine militarily. But the question is that, is there a legal frame to use the Russian private and public assets already during the war? And Estonian Foreign Ministry initiative is now in Estonian Parliament to create a law that based on the international law, we can use the Russian frozen assets. We are creating the precedent, the case for the international society that it is possible. And this is very important. And G7 is very much interested about this, US, Great Britain, and also EU. So it was something that I introduced as well for Japan officials, because Japan is a member of G7, but probably not having Russian frozen assets located to Japan. But this is something we have to share, why we do it, what are the opportunities. And there are like three main reasons, actually. One is, of course, to support Ukraine. The second is all our taxpayers are asking of politicians globally, why we have to pay to support Ukraine when we have aggressor money not using. So that's the answer for the politicians for elections, because we have close to 70 elections this year in democracies globally, everywhere. And I think that it is a rightful question that our taxpayers and voters are asking, why we have to pay when aggressor is damaging and destroying the country and we have their assets. They must pay. And Estonia has took the lead that we create a frame and the law for that. And this is universal. Everybody can use it and change it for the domestic law system. So this is something important. And of course, finally, it was not a debate in Japan, but I just flew in directly from Lithuania, Vilnius, where we had a meeting with the French foreign minister, 3 Baltic countries foreign ministers, and foreign minister of Ukraine, Kuleba. And we were discussing the initiatives in Europe. Macron initiative you have heard, but also the Czech president initiative. How can we rapidly support Ukraine by military means? I mean here the ammunition and weapons. How can we raise funds from where we can buy ammunition? Because Ukraine needs it desperately. We need to support Ukraine right now because it is the cheapest and most efficient way to stand for our values, stand for the freedom, and this is a proof that actually we are fitting into the freedom. Fit for freedom is everywhere. All the questions are based on fit for freedom. So we have had a very busy schedule. I'm very happy about the agreements what we have made with Japan and with the government and also on the private level, and also with Japan as a member of G7. It is for us very important. And of course, about cooperation, about the cyber defense, and for your knowledge as well, I remind you that Japan is a member of NATO Center of Excellence about cyber defense located to Estonia. So we have already 5 years this cooperation. So Japan is participating very closely into these matters. So thank you from my side right now for a long speech what I had. But of course, if you have questions, so.
Okay, well, thank you, Minister, for that very concise briefing. I should point out that we have 2 interpreters here today, so not just our usual English to Japanese and vice versa. We have an interpreter who has been simultaneously interpreting the Minister's remarks into Japanese. So the Japanese press here today are welcome to ask questions in Japanese, which will be interpreted duly. Could I, before, just ask you, Minister, to clarify one point? Perhaps I'm a bit slow to understand this, but you said that Estonia was asking other countries to dedicate a certain proportion of their GDP to helping Ukraine. But is that for civilian aid or military aid or what?
Yes, we have proposed 0.25% military aid. Yes, military aid. Of course, Japan is a different debate ongoing, but this is something we are advocating for our allies who are giving actually military aid. Because we have done 1.4% of our GDP worth military aid, and we are ready to do 0.25, and we have done it already as a decision from our government for the next 4 years, and we will write it into our agreement. Why 0.25? Because it is doable for all the economies. It doesn't harm economies, but amount together, as I mentioned as well, will be around 120 billion per year. And this is something that helps Ukraine win the war and not to very long time in the meaning. But this is, yes, it is military aid.
And this is aid which they will volunteer as if they wish.
Of course, finally, all the governments and states, they make their own decisions. Okay. But this is just a proposal as an idea and to show as well solidarity. And we did it. We never suggest anything that we are not able to do ourselves. So this is something. Okay. We made as well the initiative in European Union, which was decided a year ago, 1 million round of ammunition. Half of it is done now, only half. But the second half has been already promised. So, but we have done our part already, and even double that. So I'm not saying that we are doing a lot, but I'm just encouraging all the others to do something more, because everybody is putting in a lot, but we have to do more and we have to do quicker.
Understood, thank you. Okay, well, let me open the floor to questions. Working press first, obviously. Do we have any questions in the room, please? Yes, please, as usual, identify yourself and what's your question?
Thank you very much, Takuya Nishimura, freelance. Let me ask two short questions. One is, recently Sweden is approved to join NATO, and how is this making difference with security or defense of Estonia? Mm-hmm. And second is about Japan. Japan has lost its diplomatic momentum after the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, and Japan has negotiation with Russia over the northern territory east of Hokkaido, and other economic deals in natural gas in Sakhalin. So based on the long history of Estonia with Russia, so what do you say about Japan to deal with the relationship with Russia? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Thank you very much for reminding that just very recently Sweden got the full membership of NATO, and before that Finland. And for us it is a very big step to make our region more secure by military means, but also economically and all the other ties, because we have had through the last 3 decades very close relations and cooperation with Finland and Sweden, but it is different if you are a full member of NATO, because then you are a full member of this club and commitment of Article 5, one for all for one. Finland has a very powerful military capabilities, and as a society as well, ready to go. As conscript system, we know it very well, and we have been developed our total defense system in the meaning of as a society watching very carefully Finnish system. So this is something big, and as well Sweden, who has a very strong air force and also on the sea, at the sea, these capabilities at and inside the sea. So the Baltic Sea is now the NATO lake. And this is a big change, because it was one cap what we had, because we have Kaliningrad there, and the Russian military ships, and always, of course, they have the capability and they have right now as well to cross, but this is different when you are in the middle of NATO lake. So this is a big change. But as well as politically and as a message, Finland decided to join. They have a very long border with Russia, and they feel in rightful means that Russia is a threat. But Sweden was as well a short border, but anyways, Swedish people decided to join NATO and get rid of neutrality policy after more than 200 years of neutrality. This is understandable that the Finnish people on the border, they would like to join, and also that Ukraine want to join, because we are advocating strongly that only security guarantee in Europe can be full membership of NATO as well for Ukraine. But the Swedish people, this is a message that this is the end of the neutrality policy close to Russia. This is the end of the gray zone policy, and only security guarantee which works is NATO. So that's the very strong symbolic message as well to everybody, and as well to Putin. So we are very happy about that. And as a former defense minister, I know the plans, I know the drill. So this is a huge impact to our, in a good ways, to our capabilities. So thank you for this question. And about Japan. I don't know, and I'm not commenting the diplomatical momentum, because we have been focused a lot about momentum, what really was opened because of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. But this is global, and I totally understand. It is only in our region. What I feel as a foreign minister of Estonia, that we have been talking about that already more than 20 years, that the attack will come. We had Georgia 2008. We had Ukraine 2014,
And we constantly said that Putin won't stop. And what we must understand is Putin will not stop, as well as now. Maybe there are some initiatives or some thinking that let's have a peace, whatever it costs. But this peace is not a peace. It's not justified peace. So without Ukrainians' will, we cannot start negotiate anything. We have to support Ukraine. It's the most efficient way to fight for the freedom and democracies right now. But with Japan, Estonia is very similar. We don't have the border treaty with Russia. And we have lost as well some territories after the Second World War. But we were ready to sign it, and actually on governmental level years ago we signed, but it is not ratified from Russia and also from our side, because there is no will from Russia actually to do it, especially now. This process is not active. But it doesn't mean, because we are full member of NATO, we are a full member of EU, and we know exactly, and it is agreed, that where is by millimeter the border of the democratical world and non-democratical world. So we have no territorial claims to Russia and the other way around. Of course, Putin has announced that he wants to restore the Soviet Union. Then we can say that he has territorial claims. But by law, in the meaning, there is no. And the basis for this agreement is actually Tartu Peace Treaty since 1920, when we had our independence war and we were winning our territories back. So, and this Tartu Peace Treaty is still valid. The border has changed, but as a principle, as a recognition from Russian side, it's still there. So this is the cornerstone stone for our relations and recognition with Russia now. Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Further questions from the floor, please. Or do we have questions online? I would like to ask you one question, if I may, briefly, and that is, I believe the Estonian Prime Minister, Ms. Kallas, I believe, was quoted recently as saying that all options should be on the table to help Ukraine win the war. I'm not sure that she used the word win the war, but the words. But what does that actually mean? What is your interpretation of that statement?
This comment was made after the Macron initiative, when Macron said that we must act rapidly, we must support Ukraine, and also discuss an opportunity he called boots on the ground. So, but what we need to do is we need to think out of the box. We just need to think out of the box because we are not in the zone of comfort. So comfort zone. We need to find the solutions to support Ukraine. And actually, we need to give Ukrainians what they ask from us. And actually, they don't ask the NATO troops, boots on the ground. They ask ammunition, they ask weapons, they ask training, they ask financial support and political support. So we need to give what Ukraine asks. We can discuss any other options as well, of course, theoretically. But I like this comment from President Macron because it woke up many leaders in Europe and in the world to understand that actually it is much more safer and cheaper and efficient to give the ammunition and money and weapons than to even think about to send troops on the ground, the boots on the ground. Of course, there is a joke as well that boots on the ground means that let's send boots. But it was not the meaning of the sentence. But the sentence for me was to think out of the box and also to change or to shift the paradigm of the debate. Because the truth is, we haven't done enough. We haven't done enough, and we have to act. I'm talking as a foreign minister of Estonia and about Europe mainly. The debates and political actions in US is different. It's domestic, it's president elections and so on, and also debate in Japan and so on. I cannot comment that, but everybody must wake up as a leaders of democratical world that we must act now. And that is the meaning of this comment as well, that all the options must be at the table.
I see. More questions, please, from the floor. I'm sure there must be, yes. Did you raise your hand? No, yes, I fully understand that, and thank you for that explanation. But what do you think are the dangers of this escalating? The fact that countries are joining NATO and giving their support is obviously not something that's going to delight Russia. So what do you think there's a danger of these moves to strengthen NATO significantly escalating the dangers of or not?
I am, of course, in the position that first, NATO is not the organization which attacks anybody. No, we are a defense organization. This is a big difference. This is Putin's narrative. We cannot follow. That because of NATO enlargement, he has to attack and kill people and destroy the nation and the country. This is fake news and narrative. There is no logic behind. Everybody should and must have an opportunity to make decisions. This is actually the Fit for Freedom means as well. That if the nation decides to belong to any kind of unions, which is not aggressive against others and who is following the UN Charter and international law, they must have the right to make decisions. And the policy of swears, it must be finished forever, because only bad things are coming out from that for different nations. And a small nation as Estonia, we know it very well. So this is a fake narrative because NATO has never been a threat for anybody, nobody. So it's a clear. So, but the NATO enlargement is useful to keep the peace, because the gray zones of neutrality positions in the neighboring countries of Russia has just shown the green light to Putin to actually gain back the territories. This is imperialistic way of thinking. To gain back the territories Soviet Union lost. But Soviet Union was imperial. So we were not there voluntarily, we were occupied. So that's the big difference. So NATO has a right to enlarge if there is a political will, and main thing is to keep the peace. Keep the peace, but with Putin there is only way to talk. If you have power. If you have power. And we have a power in NATO, but we are not going to use it in aggressive ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please give your name before you ask. Question in Japanese is okay.
I'm Takumi Kobayashi from Nikkei newspaper. Thank you for your presentation. And I would like to ask about your position on the Indo-Pacific region. And so, as you have mentioned, China, for example, is one of the countries that is monitoring the situation in Ukraine. And in fact, your country has been planning, if I put it correctly, to allow Taiwan to establish a non-diplomatic representative office. And so, how do you position in the conflict regarding Taiwan, and how would you like to get involved in the Indo-Pacific region in general?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We know that the situation is very tense between China and Taiwan, and as well China is waiting carefully what is going to happen with Russia in this aggression conflict. But it's sure that Russia is coming out from this conflict one or the other ways weaker than ever before, economically and also politically isolated. And this is a great opportunity for China. I think that China is waiting because China economical relations are always political as well. So we must understand as well the world will be more divided after this conflict will be finished between democracies and non-democracies. This is the red line between all the two different worlds. And it is as well for us the wake-up call that to be too much dependent from China economically means as well to be dependent politically. And this is something that most of democratic countries don't want to get. And also European Union, US, North American countries, and also Japan. I was just with Nordic Baltic foreign ministers in India like a couple of weeks ago, the Raisina Dialogue Conference, whereas this topic was as well under the discussion. So we have to think not only on political level, but as well as economical dependence questions. So, and this is something we are working all together. And Japan has here in the region a very strong position as the strongest economy and also as a democracy. So this is something we are discussing together. Now, Estonia reviewing all different policies every other year. And as well, we reviewed our policy with China, but we didn't change the main understanding of that. We still have the great clear position about one China policy. But we gave an allowance if anybody would like to open the Taipei representation of economical, educational or cultural relations in Estonia, the Foreign Ministry will allow it to do. But we are not talking about Taiwan representation, and this remains the same. As well as we have settled the very strict and clear communication level with Taiwan. So this is clearance. But on economical matters, we definitely have economical relations with Taiwan. Estonia has the second largest resources of the rare earth metals in Europe, and we have experienced companies as well. So we are investing and developing our capabilities of high-tech industry in Estonia as well. And definitely Taiwan has this expertise about the jeeps and many other things, so, but as well as Japan. So, and then Estonia is very, very solid area and environment for investments, and this future investments is very important. So this was my answer mainly. Thank you.
I think you were implying that cyber attacks are going to be a very important element of Russia's strategy. I mean, what does this mean for other European countries, or indeed countries close to your own? Does this mean that cyber attacks are going to be stepped up? This is going to become a much bigger threat, do you think?
Yes, cyber attack is like we have like sometimes hundreds of cyber attacks per 24 hours. So they're all different levels. It's private, public, but we have to understand as well that the cyber defense is not a question of defense ministry or army. It's a question of society. And it's not only the question about the governmental capabilities. We have invested a lot that people know more. We train them since they're at school. It starts how we use our phones or computers, what kind of buttons we are pushing or answering the mails and whatever, and finally as well the strategic attacks. So this is something we are sharing with everybody who would like to know more, because it's like the hygiene. We have to brush the teeth in the morning and in the evening normally. Somebody is not doing that, but the consequences will be there. So this is something we have to understand, to change the way of thinking. It is not something that somewhere are some kind of officials for protecting all of us. No. Of course, there are some strategical institutions which are under the protection, but as a society we have to understand. The second is that the cyber is one part of the hybrid attacks. So as well, we have to talk about communication. We have to talk about the fake news. We have to talk about fake narratives. In Estonia, we have shut down more than 50 TV channels from Russia, more than a couple of hundreds of web pages. And also we are checking the social media channels about not that they are not used by Russia or this kind of powers about fake narratives about war and so on, because we want to guarantee that people have an opportunity to get objective information and to make decisions their own. This is a part of this Fit for Freedom agenda as well. We must assure that people have an access technologically, but also access physically to objective information, and they can make their decisions by their own. And this is something I can say as well, that we have a Russian-speaking minority in Estonia. It's close to 30%, a bit more than 20%. And now I think that during the last 2 years, their attitude has been changed a lot, because they know exactly what is going in Russia, what Russia is doing, what's the difference of incomes, benefits, of social affairs or pensions. And also they know that if they are Russian citizens, Putin can ask their sons go to war and just be slaughtered. So, and that's the case that these people in Estonia have an access to objective information and to make their own decisions where they want to belong, and they belong to our democratical part of the world.
Thank you. Any more questions? You seem to imply that you were saying that Putin is... sorry, there is a question, I think, so I'll read it. This is from Rocky Swift, yes, one of our members who's with... I've just forgotten who he's with, but anyway, he's a photographer. So he says, it was recently reported that the US government is pressing its allies to further tighten restrictions on China's access to semiconductor technology. Has Estonia received such a request?
I cannot approve it, and I cannot comment it, but probably we are not the target country for that.
You were implying that I think the words you used were that Putin is intent on getting, in effect, restoring the Soviet Union. So, are you saying that negotiation is not a principal policy to be used at this time with Russia?
Well, I'm saying that we have to follow President Zelensky's peace plan. This is the only plan what is for us recognizable right now. But it means as well the territorial integrity. It means that Crimea is a part of Ukraine, not occupied. So as well as we know where the front line is now. So it means as well the part that international law will be re-established. It means as well that the leadership crime as aggression will be put under the International Special Tribunal, which is Estonia supporting heavily. It means as well that Russia will pay for the damages and the reparations. So it means all the different matters, it's put together in the 10 points. Estonia has took the lead and made an agreement with Ukraine to chair the 5th point. It's the reestablishment of the territorial integrity and United Nations Charter questions. So this is the peace plan we are talking about in real life. But you know, there are like different talks and initiatives that let's just have a peace and not shootings right now. Actually, can you remember that there was a Minsk peace agreement a couple of years ago, and it didn't work. So Russia must understand there is a price and will a price if Putin would like to repeat aggression in the future. And I'm not only talking about Ukraine, I'm talking about whatever aggression against whoever. Is it the NATO test? Is it whoever? So that is what we have to finally negotiate and agree. And aggression must pay the price. This is the only way that this aggression will not be repeated. This is the only way.
Estonia recently signed a security treaty with the Ukraine, I believe. Yes, is that correct? Or?
We are negotiating this bilateral agreement, long-term agreement with Ukraine, because if you remember, the G7 announced the Ukraine declaration last year during the Vilnius NATO summit, and then opened this declaration for all the countries who would like to join, and Estonia joined this initiative. So this is long-term commitment and long-term agreement. It's not only the military aid agreement. So this covers as well the cooperation about the financial support, about the political support, about humanitarian support, and also the recovery process and reconstruction process. So this is the agreement for the long-term commitments. And also it is the part of this agreement is the military support, and we have agreed, and our proposal is that we fix it at least 0.25% of GDP per year. So, and that is our proposal to all of the other allies as well. They should take these commitments, the military support 0.25, but all the other measurements as well.
Please take the opportunity to ask a question, because this is a unique opportunity. If there is no question for the moment, would you like to say a little bit more about what you've achieved by your visit to Tokyo at this time? What are the significant achievements of your visit, do you think?
There are very practical parts and there are political parts. We have agreed ongoing cooperation on political level, as I mentioned as well, very practical on business level. So investments to Estonian companies, how can we bring new Estonian companies to Japan market? What is the procedure? How can we support them? As well, we agreed that we have the governmental agency Enterprise Estonia, which is responsible for the trade and international relations on economy. So we will add one person since April here to Japan, who is taking care of the business relations and making Estonian companies more closer to Japan market and also the investments and cooperation opportunities. So as I mentioned as well, I announced that one Japan expert from the IT agency of Japan is coming to work in Estonia very closely with our team. As well, the information that in April we will publish the first book. It's in 3 languages. It's actually a publisher is a foreign ministry. Sorry, I have not this here because it's in the publisher company, but it's about our 2 countries' relations, diplomatic relations through the history. This is symbolic, actually. And many other aspects what we have agreed on all different levels, as well educational programs. We are welcoming soon a group of students coming to Estonia, supported by some Estonian companies to become a part of our digital education. So we have plenty of different, very practical initiatives we were discussing, and not only on the governmental level. We have made as well the meetings with different investment funds. There is a fund like Nordic Ninja, under the Nordic Ninja brand, who has been invested to Estonian companies, pretty big, and there are some other funds. So this visit has been very practical on all different levels.
Thank you. Sorry, I was distracted from that. We've got another question here online. Again, this is from Rocky Swift from the previous question. He has 2 questions in the realm of soft power. He says, Japan is experiencing something of a tourism boom, aided by the weak yen. Is Japan a popular destination for Estonians? And do you work with the Japanese government on promoting tourism in each other's country? And he's added, Baruto retired just over 10 years ago, so when will we get another Estonian Ozeki soon?
I'm starting from Barto. I'm very close to become a Barto if I'm, working too long as a foreign minister. Okay, so sitting at planes and cars and rooms and eating a lot. But actually I was here in 2007 and I visited Barto first time. And I was amazed, and I'm really proud that I'm a good friend with Barto. And actually, Barto was the member of Estonian Parliament last period, but now he has a company which is in a very close relations with Japan. His company is producing these potato chips and importing to Japan. So I think that it is a great opportunity for everybody to find the brand and eat the Barto potato chips. But I don't know, maybe there are some Estonians who would like to come to Japan, but it was something extraordinary actually what Barto, Kaido Hövelson is the Estonian name, achieved here, and how much actually Barto made to tighten our relations. Everybody in Estonia knows Japanese culture because of Parto and many other aspects as well. So he was as well popular in Estonia as he was here. So this kind of happy occasions in the history are making our nations closer than we actually sometimes think. This and results are maybe even there that we are so close on governmental level. I don't know. Maybe Parto put something in as well. But about touristic relations, we are not letting into Estonia no Russian citizens at all. Our border is closed for that. So no tourism. Our people are not going to Russia and the other way around. So in our region, the tourism is not available from Russia. So this is clear. But the soft power is still there. Of fake news, social media, but maybe it feels not so soft, but for us it means soft. Actually, during the last 2 months, we have committed and made arrests about 10 persons who has, some of them they committed attacks and some of them they planned attacks against the public figures, assets, not persons but assets. Our Minister of Interior car was destroyed and some other monuments and so on. And it is proven that they were guided, financed and organized by the secret services of Russia in our territory. So in Estonia we call it soft power, but I think in other countries maybe they call it like not very soft. So, but our agencies are able to discover them and fight back and harass people. And many of these attacks and who has been planned as well, we just stopped in the beginning. So, but we make this news public because everybody should understand that Estonia is not an easy country to interrupt. We are on a very high level of intelligence and actions and military capabilities, cyber defense and everything. So small but very strong.
So I think the question on tourism was whether the Estonian government plans to encourage Japanese tourists to come to Estonia.
Sorry?
Sorry, on the question, part of the question was, are you working with the Japanese government to promote tourism in each other's country? In other words, are you trying to encourage Japanese tourists?
I mean the Japanese tourists to Estonia?
Yes,
of course. Yes, yes, of course. Enterprise Estonia is an agency which is responsible for that anyways as well. Okay. So, and I can assure you that this is safe to travel to Estonia. It is safe. Please come. Don't be worried. Russia has been there already hundreds of years and nothing good is coming from there, but Estonia as well, we are there. So as a tourist place, Estonia is safe, it's beautiful, and mainly during the summer, because the Japanese summers here are already too hot. Really. I like to go as well to Italy and Spain during the summers, but now I'm staying in Estonia because now we have like 25 to 32 maybe. It's a very nice place to come. So please come, and also you can find as well a very comfortable environment for investments. Yes. and make business. And you all can become as well the e-residents of Estonia. We have the program that you can become an e-resident of Estonia. You can online apply that, e-residency.ee or .com, and you will be a part of our e-solutions, e-environment, making business, having all the tools what we have for our residents and companies. You can do it online. I can just tell that I just did my tax declaration within 40 seconds. You can actually create the company within minutes, not months or years, and any kind of support. So to become an e-resident of Estonia, it's available for everybody. We just checking who you are, that you are existing, and that's the case. And our embassy is ready to support with anything in Japan. So come to Estonia, but if you are not able to come, that become e-residents, and then finally you come anyways. So.
We have one more question, but was there a question here? Sorry, someone, were you raising a question? No, you weren't. Okay, one more question online from Kaldan Azhari, who is with Arab News, and yes, Arab News. What is the position of your government on the humanitarian situation in Gaza, where over 40,000 Palestinians, mostly children, are killed by Israel? That's the way he phrases the question.
Yes, we have very clear position politically that Hamas is terroristic organization and committed a terroristic attack against Israel, and Israel has all rights to protect itself and its people. But as well, everybody should and must follow the humanitarian law and international law. And we are very much worried about the humanitarian catastrophe, what is really taking place now in the region, in the Gaza. And as well, we are constantly in the position of the solution will be this two-state solution, but it means as well two parties to participate in these negotiations. So Estonia has, as a member of EU, given a very big and large humanitarian support to Palestinian people and to the region, and also as bilaterally using the international organizations. So everybody understands that these innocent people, children, women, who are dying there, so they are not guilty of that. But at the same time, we understand everybody that this conflict has been taking place already decades, and there is no easy solution. And I understand as well that even the European Union has been the biggest donor through the years to find a peace, to support the projects, to give the humanitarian support, cannot just solve the problem. It needs two parties, and the roots are very deep, as well as on religious basis. So this is not easy way to find a solution, but that innocent people are dying. This is not a price actually who anybody should pay. So.
Well, yes, please. We're getting fairly close to time, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. My name is Yuka Kumakura from the Japan News of the Yomiuri Shimbun. It's like recap. What do you think the best way to improve the situation of Ukraine? What can the Japanese government do with your government? It's like recap, but what do you think the most important the Japanese government to do with your government to improve the situation of Ukraine? Thank you.
Thank you. It is very important question. I can say what our government is doing, and then whatever Japanese government can do as well or join would be like 100 times bigger, in the meaning that there is a difference of the size of the two countries. But of course, I've said very clearly the military support, the ammunition, the weapons, but this is the internal debate in Japan, whether to join or not, and what is the historical background or the laws or constitutional idea behind that. So this is something I cannot tell as a Foreign Minister of Estonia, but I know and we know what Ukraine needs desperately and rapidly. But as well as a coalition to support the cyber security and IT developments in Ukraine. This is something that Japan has already invested, and we can do it together because we are already there with this Tallinn mechanism as one example. Or support the projects of recovery and also reconstruction of Ukraine. Japan is putting lots in, but we have some expertise, knowledge, and very specific projects. We can do some things together. As well, support Ukraine financially. This is very important. So, but we know that what Ukraine needs desperately and right now, this is ammunition, this is weapons, this is military support, this is training. So this is what the Ukrainians are asking. So it's now the question of Japanese government and Japanese people in what and if they participate in that or not. But all the support for Ukraine is useful. All the support. I'm really grateful for Japanese government and Japanese people that there is no question to support Ukraine. This is very important. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think our time is up, so it just remains for me to thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
coming and talking to us and educating us on the issues. And I'd like to, as it's our custom here, to offer a one-year honorary membership to our guest speakers.
Really?
So please join me in thanking the Minister.